is that if a person has been released on a felony or an A misdemeanor, which is the highest level of misdemeanor. So our two most common A misdemeanors in Queens are assault in the third degree, which is an assault that causes an injury that doesn't, but a weapon is not used, and larceny, petty larceny. So we have a ton of shoplifts and theft, where the theft is not from a person, but from a store or from a table. But if you actually take a phone from a person's hand, that becomes a felony. But misdemeanor petty larceny, that's generally a shoplift or taking something off a table, off a bookshelf, that's worth less than $1,000. If it's over $1,000, that also becomes a felony. Not a bailable felony, but it is a felony. So in this situation, going back to this recidivism statute that I'm talking about, it can be any felony, not a violent felony, or an A misdemeanor that the defendant is out on. So they had a previous case and now they're back on a new arrest, even if that charge that the new arrest is based on is a charge that is not a qualified offense. Because of the prior history and the fact that the person was out on a case where harm was caused, and harm is caused in the new case to either a person or property, then that becomes a qualified offense. So let me give you an example because it is kind of confusing the way the statute is wording. So let's say that you have a person who assaults their neighbor and they cause injury. The person has a black eye and a bloody lip, and that case comes to court. The judge releases that defendant because it's not a qualifying offense. And then in a couple of weeks, that person gets arrested again, let's say for damaging someone's property, criminal mischief, and they break somebody's window. So in that situation, although that criminal mischief for the broken window is not by itself a qualifying offense, it becomes a qualifying offense because the defendant was out on a case where they caused harm to somebody and now caused harm to either property or a person. In the broken window case, they caused harm to the property. So we could make a bail application in that situation. And what we would do is we would go to court and we would read all of the information that we have about the defendant, what I talked about with the activities, the background, the prior conviction, the open case in this particular instance, and argue that under the new statute that the new case is a qualifying offense, and we could argue that the judge should set bail. In terms of the standard, the judge has to order whatever is the least restrictive means to ensure that the defendant returns to court. So again, there is a huge presumption of release in this bail statute. But there are tools that we can use when we deem it appropriate for somebody to be incarcerated, pre-trial while they wait the outcome of their case, like this recidivism statute that was added to the bail statute in July. So that's a very brief overview. The only thing I will add is that a judge can set bail once a person is convicted. So if a person is convicted and they now, the presumption of innocence is gone, and you can think of this statute as one of the, the many statutes in our justice system that is designed to protect the innocent. It's designed so that a person pre-trial should not be sitting in jail because they don't have money. So what the big complaint was about the New York State bail system prior to this legislation was that if two people who were charged similarly came from different economic backgrounds, one of them could make bail and be out in the community, and the other one, because they couldn't afford to make bail, would be in jail. And there's an inherent unfairness about this. So the statute is designed to ensure that the innocent are protected and that people who are out, that people who can't afford to be can't afford to pay bail have the same opportunity to be out as people who can afford to pay bail. That was the impetus behind the bail statute. So if a defendant is convicted, there's a trial or the defendant pleads guilty, even if it's not a qualifying offense, the judge at that point can set bail. And the presumption of innocence is no longer there at that point because they've been convicted of a crime. So that's a very brief overview of the statute. I tried to cover as many points as I can about it. The ultimate decision on bail is up to the court. We go to court, we make our arguments. The defendant has an attorney, and that attorney makes arguments on behalf of the defendant. And then the court takes everything into consideration and makes a determination as to whether, if it's a bailable offense, whether to set bail or to release the defendant, how much bail to set, whether to hold the defendant without bail if it's a very serious case. And if it's a non-bailable offense, the judge has to decide whether to release the defendant without any conditions or to set conditions. And some of those conditions include, like I said, an order of protection. Another one is to be supervised by an agency that the city has a contract with that checks in with the defendant to make sure that the defendant is going to show up in court. Because again, the bail statute is all about defendants returning to court. And it's the legislators made it less about public safety and more about return to court.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question. Angela, what if they don't return to court?
So then a warrant is issued, a bench warrant is issued in court, and then the police department will look for the person and bring them in.
Okay, and just before we continue, we have a couple people on that have called in, and what I'd like to do is to have them. I'm not certain who they are. We have one participant, and I muted a few people who I was not able to. We have a participant on an iPhone, and I'm not certain who that is. Not Alan Sherman, but another one, and I don't know who the initial C is. So if the initial C is able to say who you are or put it in the chat. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm assuming that's me. My name is Carlotta.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a reporter for the Queens Courier. I'm here to cover the meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So you're calling in from the iPhone. Are you also the lowercase c that I perhaps see on my screen?
I believe so, because I was having trouble logging in from my laptop, so I decided to try my iPhone.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and welcome to our group. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And
I think that was it. Those are my only unknown attendees to this. So thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are we open? So I happen to be very involved with the 107th precinct here in our neighborhood, and they do a phenomenal job. And I like to give a shout out to them, to the captain, to the NCOs, and to all the police officers from the 107th. To a certain extent, I wanted to find out, we have a problem of quality of life because in our neighborhood, because what happens is they have these misdemeanor crimes that are being taking place in our neighborhood, where the police have their hands sort of tied about what they are able to do and to keep these people off the street. And I know that, based on the law and how it was explained by Angela, which I thank you very much. But the problem is the quality of life in the neighborhood has become deteriorated. You have a lot of car break-ins, you have a lot of petty thefts, and all these people who are doing it know that they could get away with it. They'll go in front of a judge if they get caught. and no bail is set, and they are basically, yeah, they might have to have a court appearance that comes back, that they have to come back to court in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, but that gives them another 3, 4, 5 months to just run wild again in the neighborhood and do whatever they want. Is there any way of us being able to, with the police, being able to protect our quality of life in the neighborhood?
So, I mean, I think the court system can still hold people accountable. I know they can still hold, the court system can still hold people accountable. So each time you see somebody committing a crime, you can call the police and the police can make an arrest.
Correct.
Even if a person can't, be put in jail on bail, the person can still be held accountable through other ways in the court system. So I would encourage you, when you see crimes being committed, to contact the police, and the police can make an arrest. And the police make plenty of misdemeanor arrests. There's still many. There's thousands of misdemeanor arrests being made.
Yeah, they do. But the issue is these guys come out in a couple of hours and they just continue on their way. I mean, they continue doing whatever they were doing, and they just hope that they don't get caught again. Mm-hmm. But it becomes a quality of life issue here in the neighborhood, mm-hmm. which I've been living in this neighborhood since 1987, and crime has gone up, and the people here are a little frustrated. Mm-hmm. They get their car windows broken, mm-hmm. their cars rummaged through, and they know that nothing's going to happen to them.
Michelle, I also want to just add, my understanding with the new statute is that now the defendant gets your name and address as you being the complainant or the person who called in the offense.
Correct.
So my son witnessed witnessed a man beating up a woman, and he called 911. And then they contacted him, my son, afterwards. The woman didn't want her boyfriend arrested, but my son didn't know it was a boyfriend. He just saw this woman getting beaten up on the street. And then, next thing we know, the district attorney wants him to testify. Mm-hmm. He understood that this man was going to get his name and his address because
the address is not given.
Okay, but the name is given. So that's something that is just. I'll tell you what, I told my son, if you see something, you if you want to call in, you don't give your name and you just get out of there. Mm-hmm. Because I was concerned for his well-being. And I said, just no, don't do anything. Mm-hmm. And that's scary. And my friend was just at Walgreens the other day, and a woman walked in and helped herself to diapers and milk and things that she needed clearly for her family. And she put them in her bag and she walked out. And my friend went over to the woman at the counter and said that woman just walked out. And they said, yeah, she comes every week. So they don't do anything. They allow her. She comes in every week. She helps herself to whatever groceries she needs. They don't contact the police because she's stealing maybe $30 worth of stuff. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at a situation where crime is just getting a little insane. Mm-hmm. And even the low level crime, and not that this woman should be locked up, but when I remember as a kid being a teenager and you wanted something and your friend grabbed it and you were, harassed outside and they took it back from you and they threatened you. And whether they called the police or not, you kind of didn't do it again. You didn't come back to that store and try to steal. And mm-hmm. this woman is shopping weekly.
Mm-hmm. So Walgreens, in my experience, generally calls the police. Admittedly, if they're not calling the police, I wouldn't know about that case. But we have many Walgreens cases. We have many Home Depot cases as well. So Walgreens, and they're generally cooperative with our office. We have many Walgreens cases.
So what is the penalty for theft under 1,000?
A person can get up to a year in jail.
And are you getting those cases and convicting people of that?
So the court right now has a very large backlog, And we're just starting to do jury trials again. So there have been very, very few trials up till now since, starting with COVID. And the court recently contacted us, asking us for cases that are ready for trial because jury trials are about to resume. So I think it's been a difficult time for the criminal justice system, during the pandemic. I think that it's coming to an end. Backlogs are being cleared and jury trials are going to resume. So I think that moving forward, things will get better.
Why would Walgreens have the impression that they shouldn't enforce shoplifting laws?
I'm sorry?
Why would Walgreens have the impression not to do anything about shoplifting?
By the way, I just want to say I said Walgreens, and that was probably an error.
Okay.
And I want to retract the name of the store.
Okay, sure.
Because it could have been another store. So I want to go on the record of retracting the name Walgreens. I want to just make that official also for the reporter. I'm retracting that name because I think I just said that in error. It was a store that carried diapers.
Okay, duly noted. But we know we're in New York, and we know in San Francisco. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but kind of like a sister liberal system where 17 Walgreens stores did go out of business because of shoplifting.
Mm-hmm. So I can't speak for any individual store, but I can say that many stores cooperate with our office and many stores are calling the police.
Are you getting more outstanding warrants now based on the new bail system?
I don't know what the data says at this point.
Well, would you agree that if there are a lot of many more outstanding warrants under the new system, that would show a weakness in the new system?
I think that in general, I mean, we can try and get back to you about that. Kathleen, is that something we could get the stats on? I don't have those stats handy. If we can get them and they're public information, we can share them. In general, look, I mean, I think that any new statute should be evaluated once it's been in effect for, a period of time.
Here we go again, frozen.
This particular happened during COVID, it's going to be a skewed result. So it's more prudent to evaluate it after when COVID ends. But I always find data helpful. So I'm not suggesting that it not be evaluated. But anything in COVID, anything that happened during COVID is going to throw off results. And there could end up being less warrants because there were fewer court appearances, required court appearances. So I agree with you that it's a good thing to look at. I think the timing of doing that study is important to think about.
Are there any more questions that anyone has?
Yes, I have a question. This is Stan Noel. Again, we're having trouble with my speaker. Can you hear me, Angela?
Barely, but I'll listen carefully.
Okay, I have a question.
And my lights just went out.
That's okay. Uh-oh.
I guess the office is shutting down.
Angela, also two things. One is what's happening with MS-13, the Crips and the Bloods, and the second thing is, would Kathleen be able to tell us something about her department?
Sure. So in terms of the gangs MS-13, I would recommend that Kathleen speak to our Violent Criminal Enterprise Bureau, and maybe you could invite them to speak, or maybe Kathleen could invite you, could have your specific questions answered. In the Intake and Assessment Bureau, you know, we see gang cases, but they're basically handled by the specialized units, and specialized bureaus. So I think it would probably, I would probably recommend that you hear from somebody in our office who has expertise in the gang cases and in gang activity in general. So I will, Kathleen, if you don't mind, you know, making that note and seeing if we could get you know, maybe a speaker on gangs to come in separately.
Okay, and thank you, Angela. And as far as community partnerships, for anyone who wasn't here earlier, my name is Kathleen Williams, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement in the Division of Community Partnerships. Our Executive Assistant District Attorney's name is Colleen Babb, and we have about 4 different units in community partnerships. Mine, which is community engagement, civic awareness is another, youth empowerment is another, and Office of Immigrant Affairs is another. For community engagement, which is the unit that I had, that is the unit, Mohammed Rahman that you knew was working for me. He's no longer with the office right now, so we will have a new person assigned to you, and until that time, either I will be with you or someone else will be with you. What we do is we make sure that we stay connected to the civic associations. We attend your meetings, as well as the precinct community council meetings, the community board meetings, and other important community groups in the various areas throughout the borough. We also attend, I know the officers are on right now, we also attend our Build the Block meetings. And the purpose of that is so we can be as connected to the community as possible, bring information to you, as well as taking information back from your meetings, such as this one, to the district attorney and back to the different bureaus here at the district attorney's office. So we also are out in the community. You've seen us out, I'm sure, at the various events that you have as well, because we don't want to limit our contact and communication with just the organizations, but we want you all to let us know when you're having events, or nonprofit organizations, even elected officials are having events in your area, so that we can come out, we table, we bring information with us, so that you'll have the direct telephone numbers to call in the event that there is a problem. You'll know how to get in touch with someone in our division, whether it's from domestic violence or frauds or elder fraud or scams and so on and so forth. Even animal cruelty, computer crimes, and so on and so forth. So we have all that information available to you. And it's important to us that it's important to the district attorney that we get out into the community and make sure that you're aware of everything that is accessible to you. In addition to that, so my unit, community engagement, is the outward facing unit. So we will come out to your events, we will come out and table, attend meetings, and so on and so forth. Civic awareness is the division that is hosting or creates and builds the event that are done from the district attorney's office. So you've probably seen many of the events that the district attorney hosts herself, and that's done through the civic awareness unit. We also have youth empowerment, and throughout the youth empowerment unit, we have students and young people that we engage with to teach them a little bit about the law, to teach them about law enforcement, to try and help guide them away from criminal activity and give them more information about what's happening within not only the district attorney's office, but also how to conduct themselves out in the community so that they can avoid bullying and peer pressure and things like that. So we want to make sure that our young people, and I'm sure you all have heard the district attorney talk about this all the time, to make sure that our young people have options and alternatives and understanding about how the civil process and law enforcement process works. And the Office of Immigrant Affairs is just that, giving out information around the community to people who might need it, and to make sure that they have access to information within the district attorney's office should they need some information, assistance, or guidance in how to handle certain issues that come up for them as immigrants.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Kathleen, can you hear me? This is Stan Norwell.
Yes, I can hear you, Stan.
Okay, listen, thanks very much for that information. I have a question. What do we do with the illegal aliens who come here, commit crimes? Do we send them back to their country or we keep them here?
Stan, that's not a question that I would be able to answer. If you would like for someone from, and I don't think that someone from the Office of Immigration Affairs can handle that as well. I think that's more a question for ICE. But for the information about what happens at OIA, if you all are interested in having someone speak to you from that office, we can make that happen.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
I had a question for Angela. Were there many arrests made during the rioting of 2020 in Queens?
No, not compared to other boroughs.
Okay, so in other words, there weren't that many incidents of it then?
No.
Okay. But I mean, there were some, right?
I have to get back to you on that. There were different, there were some, I think we have data on that. I don't have it in front of me. And so we can get back to you. We can get back to you on that.
I spoke to a policeman on the street and he said that there was a whole gang looting at the Queens Mall, or at least they tried.
There was an attempt of looting. I don't think the looting actually happened, or at least it didn't happen to my knowledge.
Is an attempted looting a crime?
There was one arrest based on an incident that I'm aware of, but the looting did not happen in the way that it happened, and I will get back to you if I'm wrong, but I don't know of looting arrests that were made in Queens.
Okay. Thank you. I really, really appreciate everyone's time and effort again, especially from the DA's office, from Angela to Kathleen, and everyone here who participated and anyone who's here on the Zoom call. The Kew Gardner Hills Civic Association is a viable and running organization that is looking out for the best of the Kew Gardner Hills neighborhood. And we would like everyone's support and everyone who can help. We really appreciate if they would be able to contact us. They could contact myself at Mitch, that's MITCH 51663 at AOL.com. I am presently right now the chairman of the board, and we are looking for viable people that will want to help the neighborhood as best as possible.
Mitch, excuse me, Mitch. James Gallagher has a question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to address the group tonight. Mitch, I saw you the other night. We went to a sushi place on Main Street. So I just wanted to say that, just a reminder, tomorrow night, you're having your Build-A-Block meeting.
Correct.
At this college at 7 p.m. And I just want to remind everybody,
Queens College.
It's going to be pouring rain tomorrow night too. But I hope everybody's able to bring out their, complaints and so forth, and to bring it to our NCO offices and Sergeant Burke and so forth.
It's not at Queens College.
On vacation, but I just want to let you. One last thing, I just want to mention. I just got a call from my NCO officer. The 2 officers have just retired, so I'm going to be missing 2 officers for Sector A. And we just had our meeting last Wednesday. It was an excellent meeting. We went on to almost 9 o'clock. So bad news.
Our meetings at John Baum High School, I think.
Right.
Oh, about, I thought I saw it online at Queens College. Okay.
John Brown, it was put into the chat by Officer A to Z and Matt.
Oh,
Also, I
okay.
wanted to thank Charles Henry, who's been doing a phenomenal job for the Civic Association, being the treasurer and giving much of his time to be able to keep us together. If anyone would like to donate to the Kew Garden Hill Civic Association, Charles Henry will give out the address. And we hope that we could count on everyone and to spread the word. Charles, you want to give the address for donations?
Yeah, okay, here we go. It's the Kew Garden Hills Homeowner Civic Association, KGHCA, Post Office Box 6700085, Kew Gardens Hills, New York 11367. Become a member, it's $18. If you want to give more, that's great. And that's that.
I addressed something just about the witness contact information that Ms. Martin raised. So I just wanted to let you know something that our office has put in place, as well as I believe the other DA's offices in the city have something similar. But in order to not give out victim contact information, we have set up a portal through Verizon, where what happens is the defense attorney basically gets a number, that a code, and it's not the witnesses or victims number, but it rings to their cell phone, and it's called a witness or victim portal. And it's set up in a way where the defense attorney can contact the witness. The witness is aware that the defense attorney can contact them, and the witness is under no obligation, and the defense attorney never gets the actual phone number. It's done through a portal where their number is not given out. So I just want you to be aware of that what we offer victims and witnesses, so that we're not giving out their phone number.
Thank you. All right. Does anyone else have any questions?
I do. I do. Yeah, I want to thank you for letting me enjoy tonight's meeting. I want to be a member, and I'm going to be. So thank you for letting me listen to tonight's meeting.
Thank you for joining.
You're welcome. Hey, Abe, how are you?
All right, Howard, thank you.
You're welcome. Be safe and happy and healthy New Year to you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You too.
It's the Kew Gardens Hills Civic, to write on the right, and the P.O. Box 670085, Kew Gardens Hills 11367.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. If there are no more questions, then I think I would.
One more thing, Mitch.
Yeah, Stan.
Kathleen, could you give me your phone number so I can contact you about some of that data and the OIA?
I put all my information in the chat. My email address and phone number is in the chat. Okay. It's if you're able to get it. If not, the number you can reach out to us at Community Partnerships is 718-286-6400. Again, that's 718-286-6400.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I guess if no one has any more questions or anybody has any more information, I would like to thank everyone again. It was great seeing everyone, great hearing from everyone, and hopefully we'll be able to get back together in person very, very soon. And with that, I think I would like to call this meeting to adjourn. Anyone have any objections?
No.
Let's adjourn.
Adjourn.
Okay. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for coming, giving of their time, and helping us And we hope to see everyone healthy, safe. I'm wishing everyone a happy and a healthy new year. And everyone should just go on their way and everything should be well. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight.
All right, thank you.
Enjoy the-
Thank you, everyone.
All
Have a
right.
good night. Be safe.
Good night.
You too. Good night.
Good night.